It was fall of 2020, and I was moving my family, 3 kids, one spouse, one dog, and piles of stuff, to Oaxaca, Mexico. Why, you may ask? Well, like so many other women whose careers were impacted by COVID-19, I decided to step back from my career. Admittedly, moving to Mexico was a bit crazy, but my rationale was similar to so many others. I needed to focus on my family and to help them thrive. I needed to align my actions with my values. I needed a life that was simpler, had balance, and was less stressful. Oaxaca was my attempt to turn the lemons of 2020 into a bit of lemonade. I knew that I was lucky to have a choice and to be supported by my firm, PwC, in my decision. What I didn't know at the time was that I was one of almost a million women who left the workforce in September alone. So how did I go from a partner at PwC to a dedicated caregiver living in Oaxaca, Mexico? Well, this is my story and where I believe we can go together in the future. 15 hours, 960 minutes, 57,600 seconds. At the start of the pandemic, these were the numbers that reflected the average hours, minutes, and seconds that I was working each day. You remember the transition: remote work, remote school, everyone at home, all the time. I honestly thought we could hunker down for a few weeks at home and COVID-19 would be over and we'd go back to normal. At the beginning, I didn't mind the hours. I was focused on helping my clients save jobs. And if I'm being honest, it was a little bit exhilarating. How naive was I then? How naive were so many of us? This is Quinn at 8:47 in the morning. It's the view that broke my heart. She's 8 years old, and I look over from my spot in the dining room table and I see her. She has slid off her chair and she is doing school. Am I the only one who didn't know the word asynchronous until 2020? She has no new content. She has no teacher interaction. She is struggling. And my heart broke. I knew I wouldn't be able to talk to Quinn or her siblings at least until 7 o'clock. I had back-to-back Zoom meetings with no break all day. I thought to myself, we can do better. I can do better. It's July 20th of 2020, and I got the email I knew was coming, but I was dreading it just the same. School would be remote in the fall. I thought to myself, I can't do this again. Our house had been held together with bubblegum and duct tape during the spring, and frankly, the summer wasn't starting off that great. Logically, I know my kids are resilient, but I was tired. The loop that kept running through my head was, how can we do this again? And that's when I hatched our crazy Mexico plan. Stepping back from the career it took me 25 years to build, it was scary. I was stepping back for longer than I ever had before, even when I was on maternity leave with twins. I was stepping back and stepping out because I'm the mother. And despite an extremely involved spouse, the majority of the caregiving had fallen to me. And so began the first time of me not working outside of the home for as long as I could remember. And here we are today. Like so many others, I am returning to work, but I have so many questions. What am I returning to? Will my role be there? What has changed within the firm? How do I go back to the stress that we experienced before? Will I be supported when I return as a working mother? So much has changed. I am different. Business is different. Here are the facts. Since the start of the pandemic, approximately 3.5 million women have left the workforce, whether voluntarily or involuntarily. This represents a 57% decrease in women's participation in the workforce. It takes us back to participation levels that we haven't seen in the United States since 1987. Vice President Harris recently called the situation of the exodus of women from the workforce a national emergency. A reckoning point is that the workplace impact of COVID-19 has been disproportionately borne by women of color and those in lower income brackets. If we take no steps to proactively address the women's gap created by COVID-19, it is anticipated that it will take until 2030 to return the women's workforce to the pre-pandemic levels of participation. Now, let me be clear. I know that COVID-19 did not create the workforce challenges that women have faced over the last year and a half. COVID-19 merely revealed cracks that existed within the system, whether it was lack of flexibility programs or childcare, overwork or underappreciation, or the reality that household work disproportionately falls to women. Our work environment was fragile, like Humpty Dumpty. We can now see the fragility and the impacts of the cracks. Unlike Humpty Dumpty, we should not put our workplace back together again as it was before. We should seize the opportunity created by COVID because we can do better. I can do better. What if we could work together across companies and across industries to reimagine returnship and re-engagement programs that would allow women to thrive? What if we could identify the needs of women who stepped out of the workforce or have become disengaged and the needs of employers? What if we could design an environment and an employee experience that would meet the changing needs of business in a new hybrid environment? What if we could improve your business's efficiency, social responsibility, and bottom line by bringing diverse women back into your organization? By joining forces across companies, we have the ability to design a future that not only benefits women, but is good for businesses overall. We can gather the needs of our end users, both women and businesses. We can develop and test prototypes, which may include how might we actively source women? How might we upskill the women to meet emerging needs? And how might we change norms and cultures to thrive in the hybrid work environment? These are questions that we can answer together. The future is ours to design. Will you join me?